Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. Show's been going on now for 20 years. It was 20 years in April 1st. April Fool's Day. Yeah. But anyway, that's the only way I would ever remember the date is it was April Fool's Day. But again, thank you guys so much for sharing time with me. You can find us syndicated on television, and that's on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com, and continue sending your emails. They make my day. I love hearing from you. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. I have Michele with me today, and Michele is one of my really good buddies. I knew Michele a long time ago. We lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you remember the show then was called The Woman's Edge in Charlotte.
Oh, and yeah.
So what happened is we moved back to Alabama, and I thought, well, we'll just call it Afternoon Drive Home. I don't know why I decided to do that, but Afternoon Drive Home. Well, people kept saying Donna's show, instead of saying Afternoon Drive Home. And so one of my friends actually got me started in television, said, just go by Donna's Edge. He said, because nobody's ever going to call it Afternoon Drive Home. They're used to the edge, the woman's edge and all that. Just call it Donna, because everybody keeps saying Donna's show. So that's how all that started. But Michele and I are just buddies, and we've been friends for years. And so you've written a book. I knew you had it in you. I don't know how I knew it, but I just knew you did. And we're here to talk about that book. You've written two.
Yes. The last one that I sent you the manuscript for, Unbearable Deceptions. Did you ever get a chance to read it?
Mm-hmm. I sure did. I liked it. Now, I'll have to tell you, the first one you sent me was a little bit more my life, because there's some things I didn't share with you, but that's a good book too. But I like both of them.
Thank you. But the Unbearable Deceptions, I actually wrote that one before the other one, The Secret is Born. Mm-hmm. What ended up happening is, the way I work all the time, stay busy, I never finished it. Mm-hmm. And I got an idea for A Secret is Born from listening to a friend talk about something she had been through. Mm-hmm. And I started writing, and I just kept writing, and I just stopped until I finished it. Mm-hmm. So I ended up finishing that book before the actual book that I started first. But I think it was more because it had happened to me. So, yeah, it was.
And it's a good release to get that out too.
Yeah, it really was like therapy for me, to write it and just, like you said, to get things out. And I don't know, I just think that's what made it, I'm not going to say easier to write, but that momentum just stayed there to write it and finish it because it was something I had experienced.
Well, I think it's a God thing for you too, because a lot of people have been done that way, and sometimes family secrets, people don't tell the story. Maybe well-meaning grandparents or parents will say, shh, don't mention that story. That's about whoever, in the family. And it does a lot of damage, to the victim.
Yeah, it really does. And I was surprised. When it happened to me, I just thought, this is just some weird freak thing. This can't be something that goes on all the time. But then as I got older, I started talking to different people, and you don't realize it's more common than what you think. Mm-hmm. And people just don't say anything. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to be that person, that starts trouble in the family. And
yeah, you're the troublemaker because you say something.
Right. And so, I don't know, it's just hard to believe that it's more common than what people realize. It really is. And that's kind of scary. Mm-hmm. It is.
Yes. And then when a kid grows up and they have that shame on them, even though they didn't do anything to bring it on, they've got that shame on them. They grow up in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, that's kind of hard because you're always questioning yourself. You always question everything you do, and it makes you worried about every time you go around a member of the opposite sex, making sure you don't do something again that might cause it. So it's like you internalize it and you blame yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when nothing can be further from the truth. It has nothing to do with anything you did wrong. It's just them.
Is that person.
Right.
Was it healing? Was it healing for you to write that book?
Yeah, it was. It really was. I didn't realize how much it bothered me until I did. You know, I did write it because as you get older, you just think you just kind of let things go. And just because you don't think about it doesn't mean you really have let it go. It's still like it's there in the background, just lingering. But like I said, when I sat down and I started writing it, I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing, and I finished that book so quickly. And I guess because it was bottled up for so long, once I started writing, it's like I didn't want to stop. I just wanted to get the story out. You know what I mean? So that's why I ended up actually finishing that book before the other book, the one that I had originally started.
Okay, let's talk about that one. And what brought the idea for the book?
I don't know. I wanted to write a romance novel, but I didn't want it to be the typical girl meets boy, falls in love. And, I didn't want it to be typical. I wanted to add like twists and turns to it. I wanted to make it really, really interesting. So
it is interesting.
So when I first, sat down and I started writing it, I formed in my mind what other love stories were like. And then when I started to write it, I ended up, I used a pen, but I should have used a pencil because I did a lot of erasing and I thought, no, this is too predictable. I'd go through and I'm like, no, this is not going to be right. So then I just finally came up with, you know what? Let's just make it like a roller coaster. Every time you go around a roller coaster, every different turn, I wanted it to be exciting. I wanted it to be where you didn't want to put the book down. You just wanted to finish that.
That's a good book.
Yeah, and I left it open just in case I might write a sequel to it. I ended it. I tied up all the knots and everything, but at the same time, I left it open. So, if I wanted to write a sequel to it. But yeah, I just really wanted to make it interesting. As I've heard the expression unputdownable, I wanted to make it like that.
Well, it definitely is. You don't want to put it down.
Yeah. And it was actually fun to write it. It was really fun. And believe it or not, I've actually started a third book, and it's called Revenge and Deceptions, the Pastor's Story. So this one is actually based in the church. And it's going to be more about a pastor who was betrayed by his church and how he dealt with knowing that he was supposed to forgive, but also having to deal with the flesh and wanting to get revenge on the people he felt like betrayed him in the church. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting too.
And that happens a lot too. Like one thing that, like when somebody does something to you, and if you go back at them, that's what they want you to do.
Yeah.
I mean, because they think, oh, I got her, I got him now. But aren't you taking their power away when you just forgive and go on?
Yeah, I think so. Because like you said, I think when people do mean things, they're doing it because they want to get a rise out of you. And, they want a response. And you're right. You take their power when you don't react to it. I had a situation happen to me like that a few months ago where someone was like picking with me, and I knew that I could tell they were just waiting for me to get all riled up and to come back at them. And I just looked at them and I said, you know what? God bless you and you have a good day. And I just kept walking because I already knew the way they were acting. They were trying to get me riled up. And for me, I'm not that argumentative I'm not that argumentative
I
person.
know
I try,
you're not.
I try to get along with everybody because life is too short to spend it being miserable, arguing and fighting all the time.
I've always thought of you as a sweet soul. I just always have.
Thank you.
I'm the sweetest person. And you and I mean, we clicked right from the get-go. Making those candles together and just doing all kinds of stuff.
Yes, ma'am. I think what made me fall in love with you, Donna, is you were so creative. And I love people like that. They have that creative.
No, I was going with you. You remember we're doing those dessert candles, the ones that look like pies and look like cakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
was.
And
I love doing that. I love doing that stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of fun. And, when you go out to sell them, you see your customers' faces light up because it's something different. It's not like what you would find in a traditional store. And so, and that made it fun. It really did. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic.
No, I'm one that does off topic. I started talking about candles.
Yeah. But
so what kind of responses are you now the book hasn't been out very long, neither one of them. But so far, what are the responses you're hearing? I've been meaning to write a review too on Amazon.
I'm gonna be really honest with you. I have sold one book. That's it. And like a lot of the people I work with keep promising and promising, they're going to buy it, right, and they're going to do a review. But I've had a few people to say that they tried to buy it and they couldn't. They said that when they went in to buy it, it didn't, because I sent like the link to some people that wanted to buy it, and they said that they couldn't get through to buy it. That when they clicked on it and they went to the page and they clicked the price to buy it, that it wouldn't let them. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I know that
you'd better get with Amazon about that.
Yeah, they said it had something to do with oh God, I can't remember. I think you can buy the paperback books on Amazon, but the ebooks you have to go into something called Amazon eBooks to be able to buy it, which I don't understand that. But a lot of the people, like I said, that I had sent the link to weren't able to buy it.
Well, it's because I got the answer for you. It's because it's two different usernames and passwords. So in other words, you've got an account set with Amazon. The person would have to make another account for the other book. If they own by paperback and they want to go ahead and get it for their Nook or whatever, they'll have to set up another account for that. Just like setting up, they're going to have to set up two accounts.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't take long to do it. I mean, just a few minutes to do it.
Yeah. I'm kind of past that on because I know, like I said, there were a few people on my job who really wanted to get it because, I kind of gave them like a little teaser. They wanted to know different little things. They were like, oh, yeah, okay, so I'm going to buy that and, see what it's about. And then they were like, Michelle, we couldn't even order it. And I'm like, what? So, yeah, there's something going on with the Amazon, but I'll mention that to them, see if that helps.
Yeah, because actually it's two different companies. So because Amazon doesn't keep all of the books and all that data on their website. So that's why you have to go to the other company, which is a part of Amazon, but it's not. You know what I mean? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it's part of Amazon, but you have to set up a whole new account. That's all. That's all. It takes maybe 2 minutes to do it. Not that long at all.
So you're talking about under the KDP Kindle, right? Okay, all right. I'll let them know that. Hopefully that will help things.
Oh, it is. But you have to educate folks about stuff like that.
Yeah, but I think also some of it is my fault because I haven't had the time to, give to promoting it, like, on a website. I've been so busy because I work all night and then I babysit all day, and I haven't had that extra time to just sit down and set up a web page, where people can go. So,
do it through your Facebook page. That's probably the easiest way you could possibly do it. Just go to Facebook and just have a copy of the book and teaser what it's about.
Right. I put a small thing on my page, my Facebook page, but I didn't get a response to that either. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to have to do like some big time promoting. So,
or maybe have a book signing. Maybe have a book signing.
That would be nice.
Yeah, see if you can find a bookshop. There used to be several good ones in Charlotte. downtown with some good ones.
Right.
Now, I know that Books A Million will allow artists to come in. And
Okay.
of course, sometimes there's a long waiting list, though. But you might be able to go to Books A Million and just say, do you mind carrying my book? And just tell them you're a local artist. And maybe they'll put some in for you.
That's a great idea. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a great idea.
And there's several Books A Millions, or used to be several Books A Millions in Charlotte. So
yeah, I know there's one down in Gastonia. I didn't know they had them in Charlotte, but I do know there's one down in Gastonia because I used to go there a lot.
Down at the mall, close to where we live, Mountain Island.
Right.
Out there. So there used to be one out there, but COVID hit and a bunch of stuff hit, and a lot of folks went out of business. But I know that there's Books A Million where I'm at. And I actually interviewed somebody who had written a book, and they let them set up a book signing there.
Okay, that would be cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, there are like some other things I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go ahead and get a Pinterest account and do a little ad on there.
You could do that.
And, there was another place I was thinking about doing an ad on TikTok. I'm just probably going to have to take off a few days from work to just be able to sit down and do it. Because the way things are going now, like I said, with me working all night and then babysitting all day, it makes it kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then in all of that, I'm trying to squeeze in a little bit of sleep somewhere.
You need some rest and relaxation. You know what? Over half the show is done already. We're going to have to go into a commercial break.
Okay.
Can you believe that, Michelle? Already? Half the show is over. We'll be right back in just a minute, guys. Y'all hang in there. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring. But the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show with my friend Michele Bland. And Michele and I go back a long ways. Can you believe that? It's been, let's see, we moved back to Alabama in 2013. And we lived in Charlotte for 9 years.
That time went by so quick.
It just flew by. It really, but I'll tell you what, a day did not go by. I didn't miss y'all. I missed Charlotte. I sure did. A good friend of mine, Brown is an attorney there in Charlotte, and he's actually running for senator.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you need to check him
Wow.
out. Yeah, he's on the show about once a month. He's running for Senate. He'll probably get it. He's a good guy.
That's
Really.
good.
So yeah, check Don Brown out. But now, I mean, I left a lot in Charlotte. I really did. Left my heart there. So, and Phil and I every day we talk about you. Almost every day we talk about you and our friends that we had in Charlotte.
Have you ever thought about moving back up towards Charlotte?
Well, actually, I'm living in Abbeville, South Carolina now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we decided to move back to the Carolinas, but we moved here a little bit closer to my son and daughter-in-law are going to be moving into this area. So we decided at least we're in the Carolinas. And I miss it.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, that hurricane that came through, did it hurt your property or hurt anybody that you know of?
No. Nope, not this time. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's funny how that hurricane moved. That's the oddest.
Oh, yeah. I felt really blessed because we've had quite a few to come through Charlotte. And up in the front part of the area, a tree actually fell on someone's home. And I remember I was coming from work, and when I drove through, I saw it. And it's just such a strange thing to see something like that. You know, you're on your way home, not expecting to see anything out of the ordinary, and then drive by somebody's home and look over and see a tree. It had collapsed the lower end of their home. And I'm like, wow. And then I got scared. I was driving to the hill. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to find when I get to my home? Mm-hmm. But, you know, I felt really blessed. You know, I got up the hill. There was nothing wrong. Everything was good. So I felt really blessed, you know, with that.
My son married into, you met Brad, but my son married into this wonderful family. And they're just absolutely fantastic. And so they actually living in Hendersonville, just right down below Asheville, North Carolina. And so several trees fell on their home. And so these people have like the best attitude. So Brad's father-in-law said, you know something, I've been thinking about updating the kitchen. So the insurance is going to pay for it. He didn't actually want it to happen that way, but
right.
Anyway. Right. But there's been so much happening out in those areas. You know, that's a book for you right there of the struggles that people have had. I mean, they're still not back 100%. You know, and I know that, you know, for my son's father-in-law, you know, he's still waiting on getting his house rebuilt. And that's been how long?
It's been a minute.
It sure
really has. That's a scary thing about being in Charlotte, because with the hurricanes and the weather being so unpredictable, you just never know, you know, when something is going to happen, like, you know, the flooding and if the trees falling. And like on my way to work, I had noticed several trees, you know, had fallen and they had just moved them out the road. But, you know, that's a scary thing. It really is.
I think I see another book on the horizon.
Well, once I get these two main ones that I did, once I get them off the ground, I've got some other ideas. I actually had designed, I call it a patriotic journal, and I just uploaded it to KDP for approval. And basically, it's just a journal for your family values. It's for pictures. It's for like those family recipes for 4th of July.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if you want to just put reflections in there about how you feel about your freedom, your gratitudes, and, you know, it's got like, I think about 5 or 6 sections for you to record things in it. And then it's got a section for pictures. Like if you want to take pictures doing a picnic and put it in there. And I started working on the second one where you could use it every year. Like every year you and your family get together, you just go in and document it and just, you know, have it like a keepsake.
That's a wonderful idea. That's a wonderful idea, especially the recipes. My grandmother had a cake and we called it the mama cake. It was, she was, when I was the first grandchild, so she was too young to be a grandmother. So we called her mama instead of grandmother. But anyway, it was like this fabulous recipe. And I remember coming home from school one day and she said, let's make a cake with our hands. And I'm like, with our hands? I'll get my hands dirty. And she said, let's make a cake with the hands. And I said, well, what are we going to do? And she said, well, here's everything out. I've got the flour, I've got the sugar, I've got the butter, I've got the eggs, and I've got the buttermilk. You got to put buttermilk in it now. So anyway, she said, all right, I want you to get your hand, and I want you to put 3 hands of sugar. And I said, 3 hands of sugar. And she said, no, 2 hands of sugar. She said, put 2 hands of sugar. I said, okay. And she said, now get 3 hands of flour. And she said, I want you to mix that up together. And she said, but I want you to get the eggs, the 2 eggs, and then I want you to get a cup of milk, and I want you to mix that up together in another bowl. Then I want you to put those 2 bowls together and mix everything up together and put some vanilla flavoring in it. And I said, how much? She said, oh, just like that. And I'm like, but aren't we measuring anything? And I said, and I was like 14 or something. And I said, But my hand, she said, we're going to use our hands. I said, well, my cake's not going to be as big as your cake. She said, you got small hands. So your cake's not going to be as big as my hand. But I've got that written down, and I wouldn't take anything for that recipe. And I'm going to tell you, every time I bake that cake, people just go raving on and on about that cake. And I'll say, it's the mama cake. But having those recipes, and if somebody doesn't get them and put them in a book, there's going to be somebody in the family saying, do you remember my mother made the best banana pudding? Or, my grandmother made the best potato salad, and all those things. But somebody's got to write those things down and put them in a book. And that book you're talking about would be the perfect thing to use.
Yep. You know what? Let me see if I can pull it up, and I'll tell you exactly what it has, everything in it.
All right, now we've got just about a minute, and we'll have to go.
Okay, I got you.
What is that? Time flew by.
Yes, it really did. I'm trying to see. Okay, I've got it. Family traditions and memories. You have 10 pages for that. How you and your family celebrate it. Pages for your recipes. Pages for pictures. Reflections on freedom and gratitudes. Veterans Honor section. Yearly 4th of July logins, and keepsake letters to future generations. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that one. I thought that would be really nice, to help people keep the things together. You like you said, the recipes. Because if you don't have them written down somewhere other than like on the card, you're going to lose a little recipe card. But someone find it like a journal or something like that to put them in and keep up with them.
So you can have something like the mama cake forever for future generations.
Yes.
Well, let me know when that one's ready. I'll be your first customer because I'm
okay.
I definitely do. We're going to have to call it a day, Michele. Again, how can folks find your books?
If you go on Amazon, now if it's a paperback, you're just going to go on Amazon, and I think you can buy it directly off of the paperbacks off of the regular Amazon. But the ebooks, you have to go into the Amazon ebook section.
And you have to set up a whole new account.
Right. And then you'll be able to buy it, the ebooks through that section. And it's under the name Desi Mays. I have to stress that because I originally wanted to do a pen name because of the subject matter. But I don't know, once I decided to go on your show, I thought to myself, I should just go back in and just put my name on it. But
that might be another thing that's keeping you too. You might want to put your name on it.
Yeah.
You might want to do that.
Yeah. I've actually thought about going back and doing that. So it's cat's out the bag now.
There you go. Michele, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure being with you. Hang around. We'll get you set up for next month too, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason we do this. Continue sending emails, Donna@donnasedge.com. Hope you have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.